Tired of walking into dealerships and seeing the same overpriced bikes over and over again? There's a whole lineup of budget-friendly Japanese motorcycles that no one's talking about. Reliable, powerful, and surprisingly affordable. In this countdown, we are revealing 7 bikes no one's talking about, but everyone should be. Number 7. Yamaha WR250X. There are motorcycles built for comfort, and then there are machines like this. Lean, sharp, and made to dance through city traffic with supermoto precision. The WR250X is one of the most overlooked Japanese bikes in the used market, not because it lacks performance, but because it sits in a category few riders truly understand. Designed by Yamaha to bring motocross energy to the pavement, it is one of the rare production supermotos to ever make it to dealership floors from a major Japanese manufacturer. Powering the WR is a 250 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled single-cylinder engine. It produces approximately 30 horsepower and around 20 pound-feet of torque. While those numbers may sound modest compared to bigger bikes, it is the delivery that defines the ride. The throttle response is immediate and punchy, tuned for short gearing and high-rev agility. When you twist the throttle on this machine, there is no delay, just forward motion with a bark that matches its aggressive stance. Weighing in at just 295 pounds wet, this bike is one of the lightest street-legal motorcycles in its class. It is nimble, flickable, and feels more like a mountain bike with an engine than a traditional motorcycle. The suspension is fully adjustable, borrowed from Yamaha's off-road lineup, and tuned for high-response street riding. In the front, you will find inverted forks that offer excellent compression support for jumps and curbs, while the rear monoshock soaks up hard landings and potholes without flinching. The braking system features a large front disc rotor that delivers sharp, consistent stopping power. Paired with the bike's light weight, the WR stops with absolute confidence, whether you are diving into a corner or dodging inattentive drivers in city traffic. The wheels are 17-inch units wrapped in sticky street tires, another nod to its supermoto roots that allow it to grip aggressively in tight turns, roundabouts, and switchbacks. The riding position on the WR is tall and upright, with a motocross-style seat, wide handlebars, and foot pegs that are placed for control rather than cruise. It is not a bike made for relaxing. It is built to be active, alert, and ready to respond to rider input. The narrow chassis and lightweight feel mean that even newer riders can quickly find confidence, while experienced riders will appreciate the razor-sharp precision this bike offers in urban environments. Instrumentation is minimal but effective, with a small digital display that shows speed, trip meters, and basic functions. There are no complicated riding modes, no traction control systems, and no electronic suspension here. What you get is a raw, analog experience that rewards rider skill and attention. When it comes to maintenance, the WR is incredibly straightforward. The engine is durable, the valve adjustments are relatively easy, and replacement parts are still widely available. Because it shares DNA with Yamaha's trail bikes, many of the components can be sourced affordably through both dealerships and aftermarket suppliers. In the used market, the WR250X is becoming harder to find, but it remains one of the smartest buys for riders seeking a lightweight, agile motorcycle with real street capability. Clean, low-mileage examples typically sell for under $4,500, making it a rare gem in the world of Japanese performance bikes. It thrives in the streets, but our next bike takes that energy and stretches it out for highway comfort and bulletproof longevity. Want more budget-friendly bike recommendations? Hit that like button, subscribe for more, and let us know which of these bikes surprised you in the comments below. Number 6. Suzuki GSX 1100G. Some motorcycles carry a subtle reputation that only experienced riders appreciate, and this one is a perfect example. While modern bikes chase digital dashboards and lean-sensitive braking systems, this old-school tourer packs everything you actually need for a dependable ride. Built during a time when engineering took precedence over marketing gimmicks, it was one of the rare machines that merged a muscular sport bike engine with long-haul comfort, and it still holds up decades later. Powering the machine is an 1127 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine, borrowed and retuned from Suzuki's legendary GSX-R lineup. It produces a solid 100 horsepower and close to 80 pound-feet of torque delivered smoothly across the rev range. This isn't an engine that needs to be pushed to its limits to feel alive. Its strength comes from an effortlessly usable power band. Whether you're overtaking traffic on the highway or rolling through rural back roads, there's always enough torque on tap to keep you in control. What truly separates this bike from the rest is its shaft-driven layout. Unlike chain-driven models that demand frequent cleaning and tension adjustments, the shaft drive on this bike provides clean, silent, and maintenance-free power transfer. Riders who tour often or log serious mileage appreciate this system, not just for its convenience, but also for its long-term reliability. It turns this motorcycle into a workhorse that needs little attention between services. The bike's wet weight comes in just under 600 pounds, which might sound heavy on paper, but that extra heft translates to remarkable high-speed stability. On long rides, especially in open crosswinds or truck-drafted highways, it feels planted and confident. The ergonomics are classic touring: upright handlebars, a wide saddle, and mid-mounted pegs that let you stretch out without sacrificing control. It's not a cruiser and it's not a sport bike. It strikes a rare balance that delivers comfort without dulling responsiveness. Braking is handled by dual front disc brakes and a single disc in the rear. The system delivers solid stopping power with a consistent lever feel, and it's more than capable of handling the bike's size even under full touring load. Suspension components include standard telescopic front forks and a rear monoshock, tuned for comfort with enough firmness to handle quick cornering and sudden road imperfections. Combined, the suspension and braking components provide a level of confidence that's often missing from bikes in this price range. Design-wise, the bike leans into a utilitarian aesthetic. No flashy plastics, no faux carbon panels, just metal, rubber, and purpose. The steel frame and clean body lines give it a timeless look. Its styling might remind some riders of a grandpa's garage find, but under that modest appearance is a machine with real road capability. Many units have crossed well over 50,000 miles with only basic maintenance, and plenty are still on the road today with their original drivetrains running strong. The used market for this machine remains shockingly reasonable. You can often find well-maintained examples for between $2,500 and $3,500. That price puts it among the best value motorcycles in its class, especially considering what you get in performance, reliability, and comfort. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a daily rider looking to rack up stress-free miles, this bike delivers everything you need without the modern complications. If that bike's powertrain sounds like a sport bike in disguise, wait until you see the upright sleeper coming up next. Everything we use, from tools to gear, is linked below. Quality stuff that works without breaking the bank. Number 5. Yamaha FZ6. This is the kind of motorcycle that rarely makes headlines, yet quietly earns respect among riders who know what matters. Balanced power, year-round reliability, and daily usability that does not require a chiropractor after every ride. At first glance, it does not look like a sport bike, and that is the point. The FZ6 was designed to carry the soul of the R6 while being far more livable on real-world roads. With its upright riding posture, practical ergonomics, and stealthy frame, it delivers just enough aggression to keep things fun without ever becoming uncomfortable. At the heart of the FZ6 is a 600 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine, directly derived from the high-revving R6 platform, but tuned for more balanced mid-range power. This motor produces approximately 98 horsepower and generates around 45 pound-feet of torque. It is a fuel-injected setup that is smooth, responsive, and low maintenance. The power delivery is linear and consistent, offering solid roll-on acceleration without any surprises. Whether you are merging onto the freeway or carving up a quiet canyon, the motor has more than enough strength to keep up with modern traffic and plenty left in reserve for spirited riding. From a hardware perspective, the FZ6 strikes an ideal middle ground between performance and comfort. It tips the scales at about 490 pounds wet, which gives it a planted feel at speed while remaining maneuverable in city traffic. The suspension setup includes a conventional telescopic fork up front and a single rear shock with adjustable preload. The brakes consist of dual front discs with 4-piston calipers and a single rear disc, offering strong and predictable stopping power. This combination delivers solid composure on twisty roads while remaining soft enough for longer highway stretches. The riding triangle leans toward relaxed sport touring with mid-mounted foot pegs, wide handlebars, and a two-piece stepped seat that keeps both rider and passenger in place. The windscreen and half fairing offer just enough protection for high-speed cruising without being bulky. It is also one of the few bikes in this category that genuinely works for riders of all sizes, thanks to its neutral ergonomics and well-distributed weight. Taller riders appreciate the legroom, and shorter riders benefit from its reasonable seat height of 31 inches. Aesthetically, the FZ6 does not scream for attention. Its bodywork is modest. The lines are clean, and the gauges are analog-digital hybrids that provide all the necessary information without distracting clutter. What this bike lacks in flash, it makes up for in execution. Maintenance is straightforward, with valve inspections due every 26,000 miles and simple oil and chain servicing in between. The aftermarket support is broad, offering everything from hard cases and crash bars to upgraded exhaust systems and wind deflectors. That makes it not only easy to live with, but also easy to personalize. Perhaps the best part? These bikes are still incredibly affordable. On the used market, clean and well-maintained examples can often be found for between $2,800 and $3,500, depending on mileage and condition. That makes the FZ6 one of the most versatile and dependable machines in the midsize category. Ideal for anyone who wants sport bike performance without committing to a hunched-over riding position. The FZ6 is smooth, refined, and impressively well-rounded, but the next bike on this list takes a completely different approach. It is raw, minimal, and built for riders who prefer turning wrenches as much as twisting the throttle. Number 4. Suzuki Bandit 1200. Few motorcycles manage to deliver big bike power, everyday usability, and garage-friendly simplicity the way this one does. It was built for real-world riders who wanted performance without the pretension. And that's exactly what makes it one of the most underrated street machines in the used market today. While others chased racetrack glory or cruiser aesthetics, this model stayed firmly in the middle. Fast, tough, comfortable, and completely unapologetic. The engine at the heart of this machine is an 1157 cubic centimeter inline-4 that traces its roots back to Suzuki's earlier GSX-R platform. In this application, however, it was tuned for broader mid-range power, smoother delivery, and reduced maintenance. The result? A power plant that generates between 100 and 115 horsepower and cranks out a commanding 78 pound-feet of torque. It is a motor that pulls hard in every gear and thrives on roll-on acceleration, perfect for overtaking on the highway or slicing through a winding back road. This bike tips the scales at approximately 540 pounds wet, offering a solid planted feel at higher speeds without becoming cumbersome in low-speed traffic. The front braking system features dual discs with 2 piston calipers, while the rear gets a single disc, more than adequate for confident and progressive stopping power. Suspension duties are handled by conventional telescopic front forks and a rear monoshock, tuned for a balance between daily comfort and sporty control. The riding triangle is equally well considered, with wide handlebars, a relaxed seat height, and neutrally placed foot pegs that make it suitable for both city commutes and long-distance rides. Visually, this bike keeps things honest. There is no extravagant fairing work, no overstyled panels, just a classic round headlight, analog dials, and an exposed engine that gives off a raw mechanical presence. For riders who enjoy tinkering, the engine bay is easily accessible, with screw and lock nut valve adjustments and a low-stress oil change process that invites hands-on ownership. This mechanical transparency is part of the charm. It is a bike you can ride hard during the day and wrench on in the evening without any proprietary headaches. The seat is wide and supportive, offering real comfort for long hauls, and the passenger accommodations are equally solid, making this a great option for two-up rides. The exhaust note, courtesy of that big inline-4, is deep and satisfying without being obnoxious. A classic Japanese muscle sound that speaks of torque more than top-end revs. The Bandit's engine thrives in the mid-range, which suits relaxed long-distance cruising as much as spirited mountain carving. In terms of reliability, this machine has earned its reputation. With basic care, these motors easily reach over 50,000 miles with no major issues. Chain-driven, air and oil-cooled, and simple in execution, it is a platform that has stood the test of time and earned the respect of experienced riders who value function over flash. The aftermarket is also still alive and well for this bike, with an abundance of exhausts, bars, seats, windshields, and tuning options available for anyone looking to personalize their ride without paying boutique brand prices. Perhaps the most surprising thing is how affordable it remains. Despite its performance, comfort, and mechanical durability, the Bandit 1200 can regularly be found on the used market for between $2,500 and $3,000, depending on condition and upgrades. From bruiser muscle to balanced performance, the next one might be the most overlooked all-rounder on this list. Number 3. Kawasaki Ninja 500R. There is a reason this middleweight twin has quietly stayed relevant across generations of riders. It does not rely on flashy styling or high-end features, but rather on a tried-and-true formula that just works every single time. For anyone who is looking to get into motorcycling without being overwhelmed, or a returning rider looking for a competent, affordable machine that still delivers smiles, this one deserves serious attention. At the heart of this machine is a 498 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine. It puts out a healthy 50 horsepower and delivers around 32 pound-feet of torque. That balance gives it a wide performance window, especially in the mid-range. Whether you are merging onto a highway or carving through a mountain pass, the power comes on smoothly and without the drama that you find in higher revving sport bikes. That makes it accessible to beginners, but still engaging for experienced riders who know how to use all of a machine's performance. Weighing just a bit over 400 pounds when wet, this motorcycle is one of the most manageable bikes in its class. It is light enough to flick into corners and weave through traffic with confidence, but stable enough to keep its composure on long stretches of highway. Riders of smaller stature will especially appreciate its manageable seat height and predictable handling at low speeds. Braking duties are handled by a single disc up front and a matching disc in the rear. While the setup may sound basic, it is more than capable of bringing this lightweight machine to a stop quickly and consistently. The suspension system includes conventional telescopic forks in the front and a monoshock at the rear. Tuned more for comfort and practicality than aggressive performance, the suspension easily soaks up potholes, speed bumps, and uneven pavement. The riding ergonomics hit a rare sweet spot between sporty and relaxed. The handlebars are slightly forward for a tucked-in posture, but not so low that you feel folded over. The mid-mounted pegs keep your legs in a neutral bend, making it easy to ride for hours without discomfort. The narrow tank and sculpted seat also contribute to a rider-friendly interface that does not get in your way, whether you are riding in jeans or full gear. One of this bike's strongest suits is its reliability. The engine design has been around for decades with only minor updates, and it has proven itself in every kind of use imaginable. From daily commutes to weekend track schools. It is also extremely easy to maintain. Oil changes, valve checks, chain adjustments, they are all simple to do in a home garage, making it perfect for riders who prefer turning their own wrenches. Another big draw is its availability. Because this bike was produced in large numbers over many years, there is no shortage of them on the used market. And unlike some collectible classics, prices have stayed remarkably reasonable. You can find well-kept examples for under $2,000, and many will come with upgraded components like aftermarket exhausts or windshields already installed. Parts availability is excellent, and you will have no trouble finding replacements or upgrades thanks to the shared platform with other Kawasaki models. It is nimble, approachable, and proven, but our next bike adds a bit of retro soul into the mix. Number 2. Honda NX 250 Dominator. Back in the late 1980s and early 1990s, most people were too distracted by race replicas and flashy cruisers to notice that Honda quietly built one of the most dependable and capable lightweight dual sport bikes ever made. This machine was designed to do something most motorcycles could not: seamlessly bridge the gap between off-road utility and street-friendly comfort without any unnecessary complexity. Powering the Dominator is a 249 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled single-cylinder engine that puts out approximately 26 horsepower and 18 pound-feet of torque. It is not a fire breather, but that was never the point. What it offers is extremely usable torque low in the rev range, making it perfect for off-road climbs, gravel trails, and urban starts at traffic lights. The engine is fed through a reliable carburetor setup and pairs with a 5-speed gearbox that is both smooth and rugged. Honda's legendary engineering really shows here. The powertrain is known to last well beyond 50,000 miles with basic maintenance. Oil changes and valve checks are straightforward, and parts remain widely available thanks to a dedicated community of enthusiasts. Physically, the bike is slim, lightweight, and easy to maneuver. It tips the scales at just over 288 pounds wet, making it lighter than most beginner motorcycles and a dream for riders who need to wrestle through tight trails or crowded city streets. The front suspension uses a long-travel 39mm telescopic fork, while the rear is equipped with Honda's ProLink monoshock system. Both are tuned for moderate off-road use and provide enough travel to soak up potholes, ruts, and uneven terrain. On pavement, the ride remains composed and comfortable, especially for a bike with off-road intentions. Braking is handled by a single front disc and a drum brake in the rear. Simple, effective, and extremely reliable. The bike rolls on a 21-inch front wheel and a 16-inch rear, which gives it the clearance and approach angles necessary for trail work without sacrificing too much road manners. Tire options are plentiful, and many riders opt for 50/50 dual sport tires to keep the bike versatile for all surfaces. The ergonomics are upright and neutral, with a tall handlebar, mid-mounted foot pegs, and a long, narrow seat that allows riders to easily shift their weight whether seated or standing. Ground clearance comes in at over 10 inches, which is more than enough for navigating rocky trails or urban obstacles. The bike also comes with thoughtful features like a full steel frame, electric and kick start, and a basic analog dash that tells you everything you need to know without clutter or distraction. There are no ride modes, no screens, and no complex electronics to fail. Just straightforward mechanical engineering designed for decades of service. That simplicity makes it incredibly popular with riders who want to travel light, explore back roads, or maintain their bikes at home. On the used market, prices are still shockingly reasonable. Clean examples of the Dominator can often be found listed between $2,000 and $3,200, depending on mileage and condition. That makes it one of the most affordable true dual sport motorcycles that you can actually live with every day. Whether you are carving through traffic, escaping to forest trails, or just getting out on the weekend without worrying about complicated maintenance or expensive repairs. Wait until you hear about the next bike. It brings vintage speed and reliability together in one perfectly balanced machine. Which of these affordable bikes caught your eye? Leave a comment, hit the like button, and subscribe for more awesome motorcycle finds. We'll be back with even more great options. Number 1. Honda CB900F. Known to insiders as the Bull Door, this machine was designed to be a true street superbike. It delivered the performance of a sport bike with the comfort and mechanical reliability that everyday riders craved. While American buyers were chasing full-fairing machines and chrome-laden cruisers, Honda engineered a naked road warrior that blended clean styling, rock-solid build quality, and enough power to make your heart race without sacrificing comfort. At the core of the machine is an air-cooled inline 4-cylinder engine displacing 900 cubic centimeters. This power plant puts out between 95 and 100 horsepower, backed by 57 pound-feet of torque, that makes it one of the most balanced engines ever to sit in a vintage Japanese frame. Unlike the twitchy, high-strung motors of the time, this inline-4 delivers smooth, linear acceleration and a torque curve that rewards throttle roll-ons across all 6 gears. It's the kind of engine that encourages spirited riding without punishing you in stop-and-go traffic. Whether you are carving country roads or cruising through downtown, the motor is always willing and always predictable. The chassis is tuned for stability. And while the bike tips the scales just over 500 pounds wet, it carries that weight in a way that never feels sluggish. The double cradle steel frame offers a planted feel at highway speeds, while the geometry keeps it responsive enough to tackle tighter curves with confidence. Dual disc brakes at the front provide strong, progressive stopping power, and a single disc at the rear keeps everything under control without grabbing or fade. The suspension system consists of standard telescopic forks up front and dual shocks at the rear. While not groundbreaking by modern standards, this setup delivers a surprisingly plush ride that soaks up imperfections without wallowing through corners. The balance of comfort and handling precision made it a standout even in its day. Riders also appreciated the ergonomics. With a wide, flat seat and mid-mounted pegs, the bike offers a natural, upright riding posture that works for both short commutes and long-distance touring. The handlebars are positioned to give you a confident grip without causing strain, while the long wheelbase adds stability for freeway riding. Visibility is excellent and wind resistance is kept manageable thanks to the minimal but effective front cowl on some variants. Visually, the bike stays true to classic Honda design language of the era. You get an exposed engine, a clean tank line, and a round headlamp that keeps the look timeless. The analog gauge cluster is simple, functional, and a joy to read. A reminder of a time when the rider's connection to the machine wasn't filtered through digital menus and ride modes. There's nothing unnecessary or ornamental, just honest mechanical beauty. And because Honda built it with longevity in mind, many examples from the early 1980s are still on the road today, running strong with just routine maintenance. In the United States, the Bulldor never got the promotional push it received overseas, and that lack of attention turned out to be a blessing. Prices have remained refreshingly low on the used market. Depending on mileage, originality, and condition, you can still find clean examples for between $2,500 and $4,000. That is an incredible value for a machine with this level of performance, reliability, and vintage charm. From street supermotos to vintage road warriors, these budget-friendly Japanese bikes prove you don't have to break the bank to get an incredible ride. If you found a bike you're interested in, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this.